Welcome to Season 2 of the Bimbo Bookshelf podcast. Today, we're going to be speaking with a local author, Dana Frost. Her first book, Dear Beholder, came out this summer. It's available now on Amazon and through bonebridgebooks.com. I would like to thank Dana for her patience in getting this episode out as we recorded it some months ago. The podcast took a longer than expected hiatus, but we are so excited to be back and hope that you enjoy what Season 2 has to offer.
Greetings and salutations. I'm Dana Frost. I'm an immigrant from Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know if you've noticed the accent or not, but I am from the Caribbean. Moved to the States 6 years ago. I've always had a love for poetry ever since I could remember, really. And I've started writing since I was 13. Honestly, that book is back with my parents, and I hope my mom can find it, because I would love to read what 13-year-old me thought was a big deal.
Oh, that's always offensive when you find something you wrote as a teenager. You're like,
oh, those Facebook stories. Oh, cringe.
Yeah, thank goodness TikTok wasn't around when we were teenagers.
Oh my God.
I think about that often because I did the same thing when I was younger. I would keep diaries and I would write things, and I've gone back and found them and looked at them and I've gone, oh, wow.
Yeah. Did you have a Lisa Frank diary?
Oh, yes.
Oh
definitely.
my God.
She was the best. I feel like if you grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, you kind of had to.
Yeah, it was law.
Lisa Frank's got nothing on your new book.
Oh
So tell us a little bit about how that came to be. You were telling me before we started recording about how the process of the book cover came to you. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, I've always loved poetry, and I've always wanted to be a published author. So it just so happened one day I'm like, I have all these poems. What am I gonna do with it? And I shared it to somebody that I no longer speak to. But they really pushed me and was like, you should publish a book. And it just so happened they said it at the right time. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna make a freaking book. There's 123 poems. That angel number it means growth and moving forward, and that's what I really think that this book is. It's basically you getting to know me on a very raw and personal level. And I saw this quote in one of those Instagram pages that I follow: poets bleed on paper and you get to watch me bleed on paper. If you read a poem when you're in one state of mind, you're gonna see it one way, but then when you are in a different state of mind, you get a whole different perspective and view on that same thing. The words hasn't changed.
Right.
It's you that's changed, and all of it's real. It's so crazy how situational and personal poetry is, and that's why I friggin' love it.
I love that you're able to channel those feelings and not just be able to create the work that it is to write thoughts and feelings into art, but to be able to share that, because that's honestly, I think, as hard of a battle from people that I have spoken to here before that have shared poetry and shared their writing. It's the sharing part that's terrifying and so hard to do. But once you do it, or once you for me, that feeling was kind of like talking on this podcast, sharing my thoughts and my feelings, knowing that anybody in my life that doesn't like me can just come on here and be like, oh, look how stupid she sounds. That no one does that. But in your mind, that's what everyone's doing.
Yep.
You're putting yourself out there to be so vulnerable. But I really do think the most prominent pieces of literature are those pieces that connect you with others, that you can continuously go back and read and reread as a different version of yourself. And those are the books that stick with me. Even if you find something like a poetry book and you you take one poem out of that book that just feels like someone gets you, that book is going to stay in your library, in your home, as something that you care for the rest of your life. And it's so amazing to be able to see it in print and to be able to pass that down to your children and to encourage them to not be afraid to put themselves out there and to be creative and to tap into that part of themselves. That's one thing that honestly has helped me with that a lot, is being a mother, because I think like, would I want to hear my kids like talk about themselves like that? Would I want them to see me as an example being like, oh my God, you sound so stupid? Because if they said that, I'd be like, oh no, baby, please.
Yeah, you're perfect.
You're so smart. Yeah. And I don't want to take it that far with myself, but I honestly do think when you allowed yourself to treat you the way you would the people you love, you're able to create more freely.
That's true. That's like a lot of inner work and a lot of inner child work, if you think about it too.
That's the worst.
Like, I don't know what it was with this Taurus moon. Like, I was just mentally and emotionally going through a really tough time, and I'm like, why? Like, why the heck am I feeling like this? So like, I sat with it, and I literally just meditated and hugged myself and like told myself like, I don't know what the hell is going on, but you're fine, you're safe, everything's gonna be okay. And like, what came through at the end of that was my inner child being scared that I couldn't handle everything and that I was behind, or like I just couldn't do this, you know. And I'm like, nah, girl, you good, like we got this, you're older now, you know shit now. Like just go with the flow and stop forcing. So stop trying to make things happen. They're gonna happen when they happen.
And if it's happening, stop stopping yourself. Stop preventing yourself from... that's one thing that I have to learn honestly through therapy, in a way where she was like calling me out and I was offended. I was like, first of all, shut up, no one asked you. Even though I did. But
love therapy.
Love therapy. Shout out. I don't think I'm going to put her name out there on the internet. She knows who she is. She probably doesn't listen to this. Kind of hope she doesn't listen to this. If she is, she's probably taking notes. That is something that, like, honestly, it was a really difficult thing for me to learn, but that has helped me a lot too, is sitting with your inner child, because it feels so, first of all, fucking stupid and corny to, like, think about yourself as a child and as someone that you, like, talk to or get in the brain of. It's like, first of all, she's done. We're done with her. She had enough. Like, we've left her behind. But really, she's still there.
She's still there. She's the reason why sometimes you cry and have an outburst. You are scared to, like, do something. You know, like, she is also on the flip side too, she could also be the reason why you're bold enough to put yourself out there.
Ooh. Treat.
So how I wrote my book was actually in my Samsung notes, and then like I transferred it to paper. Also, like, I would see something like a bird flying or sun rays coming through leaves, and I would get a line, and then the poem would basically write itself in my head. So I'm like scrambling for like scraps of paper and a pen. That's how this entire book came about. Oh, the name is Dear Beholder.
Dear Beholder.
Because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Yeah.
The cover art is amazing, by the way, and we're going to post pictures of that. And hopefully Dana will send me a picture of her rough draft sketch that she made in her phone. It is amazing to see how a little seed, like seeing a leaf in the light outside, or scratching a doodle on your phone, or writing down one word can turn into your dream of being a published author. I would love for you to read some poetry for us if you would be up for it.
Totally. It's so funny. I wrote one last night, but I'll share with you the first poem that I ever shared online.
Oh, nice.
It's actually the first poem in my book. It's called Ocean. Someone asked me why I love it here. I couldn't help but smile. Have you truly experienced in there? I replied. Have you ever been to a place where time is slowed till it doesn't exist? Where you leave the world's chaos at the shoreline and enter another so tranquil and divine? Have you ever felt the weightlessness beneath the surface? Have you ever seen sunbeams dance? Or creatures with color schemes made from dreams? Have you ever felt a peace that cradles your soul? You see, the horizon, this oasis, its vastness calls me. It excites me. It calms me. It scares me. It inspires me. It intrigues me. It makes me feel alive. That's why I love it here. It's my home.
So, Dana, tell me also, like, what authors or writers inspired you? Is there a type of book, or like, are you a fiction, nonfiction, poetry reader, a little bit of everything? What is in your at-home library?
Whew, my at-home library is growing by the day. I swear to you. So it started off with fantasy and Sarah J. Maas. So I love fantasy and like I love smut. I'm not even like afraid to say that
Don't
anymore.
Let that flag fly.
Let that freak flag fly. So okay, ooh, I love this part. Okay, so with the books that I've read, with smut and fantasy, you learn so much about yourself. Because I was listening to the last episode you guys did, where you closed out your season, and you guys were saying that books teach you so much about like people and humanity and their perspective as well as your perspective. And that is so true. You learn so much about yourself from reading books, and like you might never know that you had like a praise kink. Mm-hmm. You're like if you're
and
a man,
what a safe place to find it,
right?
A book,
Exactly. You know, like
you know what? That's I love that you brought that up, because I had never really thought about smut in that way. But what a safe place for people to like learn about themselves in that kind of way, because it's not as safe for women to explore. I had never thought about it from that point of view. But see, this is the beauty of talking books with people, and especially when it's stuff that you don't read or you wouldn't usually read, which it's what I love about doing the book club aspect of this, because every single book, just about, except I think one that has been recommended, I'm like, who is this? I have no idea. And then I think that I'm into a certain genre, and then someone recommends a book and I'm like, oh man, this is going to be hard to read, and then I love it. And I can't get enough of it. And we were just talking about this, Sophia and I were recording a couple days ago, and we were talking about how books that you might not expect to get something from, to take and to learn something about yourself from, or something about the world from. This last book that was chosen for the book club was called The Word for World is Forest. And so I was reading about it, and it was from a feminist author, humanitarian, so I'm thinking it's just going to be like kind of an ecology, save the planet kind of book from a feminist perspective. And then I read it, and it was making me think about everything that's going on in the world right now. And like how in this book, the native people are called Creechies, and they're almost human-like, and everything about them, the way they operate is human-like, but the way that they look is different. So they look like animals, so they're treated like animals. And it really speaks to the way that people view people from other places, and how, you know, children can die en masse and it doesn't bother people because that happens over there. That happens to other people. It's not a threat to me or my type. And this is a science fiction book about trees. And I'm like, how did like this come out? But it really ended in Sophia and I having a conversation about, to say blankly, the genocide going on in Palestine, and how it's just something that you see over and over again in history. And then there's so many amazing pieces of literature, poetry, fiction, nonfiction that beg you to slow down and listen. All you have to do is go to your local library for free and sit down. I was actually reading something on the gram like last night or this morning. Anyway, that part's irrelevant. But it was saying like, it had statistics. I don't even know where it was from. So the statistics, who knows if these are real, but it was alarming either way. And it said that like 50% of Americans can't read past a 5th grade level. And that kind of shocked me because I don't know if I've told you this before, but I was homeschooled. So I've always kind of like felt a little behind on like, I've tried extra hard. Like I read a lot because I'm like, I got to catch up. I always feel like I have to catch up to everyone else. And then I'm reading and I'm like, holy shit, that's pretty normal for people to like not be big readers. Whereas I've like my whole life been like, you're an idiot. Read more, you stupid. Like, I'm pretty mean to myself sometimes.
I don't like how you talk to yourself.
Well, listen, we are moving past that. I'm loving myself and hugging myself these days. And it's really annoying. I told my therapist this the other day. Growing up and realizing that you're the only person that has control over your emotions is really annoying because I want it to be someone else's fault. But anyway, I'm trying to be nicer to myself.
Yeah, don't talk to my friend like that.
Exactly. I don't want my friends to do that. But
yeah.
I mean, you see this and books for me, writing, reading other people, especially I feel like people from your community, local authors, people doing small art shows, like that's where you really connect in your community. And when you are able to share that and reach a bigger community, that's amazing. But for us, this is really the heart of what the podcast is for, is meeting people like you that you can connect with, that want to, live in this world the same kind of way, communicate and build a community and, read and learn and grow and help others. And I don't know. Yeah. So we are so excited to have Dana Frost first published work. I say first so I can continue to encourage you to write. What are your plans for the future in writing? Do you see yourself continuing to publish works, poetry, any other novels, or?
That's funny that you brought that up because I am actually working on my second poetry book. I will never stop writing poetry. That is just a part of me, and it's how I choose to. I don't really think I chose it. I think it chose me. That's how I can express myself and really like make sense of all the thoughts and emotions that are going on inside of me. So that is my outlet, and it will always be my outlet until it chooses to something else. And with writing, I've actually had this idea to start a blog, and I don't want to give out too much, but when I get it started, I'm figuring out how to like make my own website and all of that to get it started up. But when I get it started up, I'll tell you, and I guess I'll be back to talk about it.
Whenever that happens, we'll definitely have you back on the show. And even before then, maybe we can do a share post and publish it through the book club so that everyone online can see it, even if they weren't able to listen, or if people do like I do and doze out during podcasts and be like, oh, what happened? That was great. Where am I?
Girl.
I missed my exit.
So I'm really big. You asked like what books I read, and I do read smut and I do read fantasy, but right now I'm on the self-development and self-betterment kick. So there are numerous crystal bracelets on my wrists. And I have the Moldavite ring, the moonstone necklace. Like I'm in this spirituality thing. So I am like doing these self-help stuff, these self-reflection. I've always self-reflected. I just never knew I did. Because I'm always like, why am I doing this? Why do I think this way? Why did that person say that? Right. What did they mean by this thing? And I'm always reading between the lines. And I guess it's a trauma response, but it's made me understand people in such deeper level. Like, I know what you're saying before you say it. Yeah. And reading energy is so real.
That's definitely, I feel like, so is related to trauma response too. I think that when you, especially if you've had traumas in your younger years, well, I mean, even in your older years, your body, you still have a physical body that reacts to things, and you learn to kind of predict the behaviors and emotions of people around you, and you can kind of feel not just how someone's behaving, how someone's thinking, how someone's feeling, if they want you around, if they're in anger and fear before it even happens, to know to remove yourself from the situation, or to be able to like predict and project, save yourself from those people's emotions. And the fact that you're able to turn it around though, and self-reflect and understand that that's like projections on you, and to be able to know it's a trauma response to some degree, and to turn it into something where you can like feel the people and feel the energy and choose better for yourself. Because I think that's part of it that really is hard, is that even if you can recognize it, sometimes it's hard to remove yourself from that bad energy, because it feels like for some reason that's, if you're always surrounded by it, then that's what you should be getting. That's what you deserve to be getting. And until you remove yourself from that and put yourself on a different energy level with people that reciprocate, and that, I guess, put out those safe feelings for you, instead of people that you have to always watch yourself around. And it becomes kind of a gift, because then you can kind of feel how to protect your circle of energy and your family, and how to keep that away from you.
And like that has a lot to do with your intuition, and I really wish people would listen to that more. Like I also struggle with it. My intuition is very strong, and I am no longer denying that now. I used to, it's like, oh my god, my whole life I've been denying it. And I couldn't explain how I knew what I knew, or how I knew that this situation, a certain person wasn't like good, or how something would pan out. But I just knew, and when it happened, I would always sit back and be like, "Told ya."
Yeah.
And I'm like, how the hell did I know that?
Yeah.
And so that you really just have to like sit with yourself, and when you sit with yourself, you connect with a part of yourself that has been screaming and trying to get through to you. And when it doesn't, I feel like it will get through to you. It, either in fits of frustration, in tears that you can't explain, in failed relationships, in toxic people coming into your life. It's like, this is a problem and you need to heal from it.
Yeah.
So I put this here, deal with it.
Yeah.
So like I'm big on that spirituality and that self-help type of thing right now. You asked previously who are my favorite authors and who am I like listening to now. So podcast wise, I listen to Bimbo Bookshelf. It's like pretty dope.
Honored.
I also listen to Jay Shetty. You know who that is?
I do not, but now I'm gonna have to listen since you shouted them out. We'll have to plug them.
Oh. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So Jay Shetty.
Free advertisement.
Lewis Howes, Howes, I don't really know how to say his last name, but they have really good podcasts. I also follow Sarah Al-Mandani, and she's honestly my idol right now.
Oh, I need to listen to her.
She is so, like, she's spiritual, she's very wise. Like, she operates from this sense of, like, she just knows who she is and, like, is at peace with herself. And, like, you have to give her a listen. Like, I really want everyone to listen to her, because she gave me so much permission to be different. I didn't pay attention to the first video I saw of her was a few years ago. It was just a small clip of her saying, if you haven't been fed love on a silver spoon, you learn to lick it off a knife.
Ooh, yeah, that'll stick with you. Oh my god, that hurts my feelings.
Yeah, if you think about it, that's so true.
Yeah.
It really made me think, and like, at the point in time I heard it, I don't think I was ready to receive it, but it stuck with me. And that quote just happened to come back like a few years later, and I'm like, okay, let me see what this woman's about. And now I'm like, I'm your BFF online. You don't know me, but
you could if you wanted to.
You could if you wanted to. Like, for real, like, I want to be friends.
I think that I know a lot of people think this is a corny line of thinking, and that's fine. I don't really mind. But I really believe that that happens. Things find you when they're supposed to, and little pieces are left along the way. And it's up to you to pick up the pieces that make you feel good, that make you feel passion, that make you feel excited. And I'm really glad that your journey through that has led you to chasing your dream and publishing your book, because now look at you. You're out there, you're marketing it, you've done all the hard work. You just got to let the rest happen. And honestly, it's really remarkable. I genuinely have so much admiration for everyone that can take a creative thought, a sentence or a feeling, and churn it into something tangible and put it out into the world, because that, I think, is really what we leave behind that matters. Like the art and the history that really stands out to me for past generations is about culture, and it's about feeling, and it's about connecting to other people. And I think that's part of why we read really old books sometimes, because it's really cool to find that feeling in a book that was written 60 years ago, and then to be able to bring it back to this time and merge it into the world that's happening right now. And poetry is one of those things that it's going to connect to people forever. As long as language is this way and people can read it, they're going to be able to connect with it. And I'm so excited for you. Do you have any other poems you would like to read, or any social media you would like to plug? Anything else you would like to put out there in the world?
Okay, so you guys can follow me on Instagram. It's dana.frost.5858. And I'm also on TikTok. It's Dana Frosty. They're both linked, so if you just check the bio, you'll find me. Something that's one of the poems that's hitting right now, for whatever reason, I'm just gonna follow this intuition. I'm gonna read you one that I feel drawn to, I guess.
I love that.
It's okay to outgrow the pond that once held you, that kept you safe, that taught you so much. It's okay to start over. Even if you're scared, even if you're unsure, you can learn, you can adapt to the twists and turns of the river. You've outgrown the pond, and that's okay. You've learned what you needed to. You have a better understanding of you. Go in gratitude of what served you. It's time for something new.
Oh my God, I love that. And I think that is the perfect poem to end this episode, because it really touches on everything that you've been talking about, of, self-growth and appreciating and, I don't know, being present, I guess. And I was eyeballing that Moldavite ring, and I was wondering if that's what that was. Big witch energy over here. I love it. Dana, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. I cannot wait for part 2 when your next book comes out. Maybe by the time the book releases, we can have you out and have a release party. You can meet us up with the book club and maybe sign some copies for us.
Oh my God, yes. Thank you so much for having me. I'm stoked.
It was so great to have you. And everybody, thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.